Alright, man. Country talk. You know what it is, man. Bars Wrestling Media. Yeah, man. We back, baby. So look, man. This is what we gonna do. So today we got a debate going on when it comes to your boy Fat Joe versus Lord Jamal in this whole FBA thing, as far as the Foundational Black Americans, and was Puerto Ricans a part of creating hip hop, the creation of hip hop, and we're going to discuss this and see where we go with it. You're saying, because it's a lot of things that I think that Fat Joe said that I disagree with, and there's a lot of things I believe S disagree with your boy Lord Jamal. So you got your opening statement, brother. You want to go first? What do you want to do?
You go. All right, so if I'm gonna do the opening statement, I'm gonna do it like this. Let me address you commenters out there that's talking y'all spit. You understand what I'm saying? Let me address you commenters out there. For one, don't try to correct me on what I said. Okay? I know what I said already. I know what I said. It's documented. You understand me? And for the commenter that try to tell me, oh, Lord Jamal said Puerto Ricans. He never said Latinos. Let me do some justice for you, sir, because you look real and sound real and write real stupid. You understand what I'm saying? Listen here, bucko. All right. First of all, Latino generalizes Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and any other thing, any other like culture that falls under that bracket. So don't try to tell me what I already know, okay? We know Lord Jamal said Puerto Ricans, but I just wanted to generalize it, okay? So you can take that comment and you know what? I ain't even gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? YouTube out here, YouTube cops out here. So
On these
I'ma
YouTube.
just keep it. Yeah, I'ma just keep it. I'ma keep it like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's my opening statement. I got a lot more, but I'ma save it. I'ma save it for later on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. All right, so look, man. Um, what do you think about what Lord Jamal is saying as far as Puerto Ricans did not create hip hop? Uh, the black youth at the time created hip hop. What do you think about that?
Well, like I said before, previously, I agreed with them on that part. You understand what I'm saying? I believe that is true. But contributions were being made
So
by
you so you
Latin.
believe so you believe that so you believe that uh young black men or young black people created hip hop, and it had
Yes.
nothing to do with Puerto Ricans. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying it had nothing to do with Puerto Ricans. I'm not saying it had
Well,
nothing to do with Puerto
let's
Ricans.
say the Latinos. It had nothing to do with Latinos
No,
creation.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying what I'm saying is that okay. So if he wants to generalize it and say that okay, all right, the young people created this hip hop, created this culture, right? Okay, if you want to generalize and say that, fine. But the young people that were involved in it at that time, which, if you look it up, it says Black African Americans, it says Caribbean, which Jamaicans, and it says Latino Americans in the inner city of the Bronx, New York. That's what it says. You know, you can look it up and see it yourself. That's exactly what it
All right.
says.
So what nationality does it says first?
It says blacks. It says
So
blacks.
you would have to acknowledge that Lord Jamal is partially correct when he say that black people or the black youth was the first to do it.
Of course, it was placed first in the Google. You go if you Google it, it was placed first. I can't backpedal on that. It was placed first.
Okay, so you saying so you basically saying that Fat Joe was wrong in a way because Lord Jamal is right. If Lord Jamal is saying that the black youth, was the first to create it, because if you
No.
look it up on Google, it does say black youth first. Now, I will ask you this question. Do you believe that they're saying black youth first because they believe that black youth made hip hop? Or do you believe that they're saying black youth first because the climate of hip hop has been dominated by black people for so long? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Well, let me say this, right? Let me say this. I believe that honestly that black people are the ones that put the stamp of approval and created it
That's not the question.
first.
That's not the question.
Okay, so go ahead and say it again. Let me see
That's
if
not the
I.
question. The question is not whether black people put the stamp of approval. What I'm asking you is Google. Do you think Google,
Oh,
do you
okay,
believe that
Google. All right.
Google only said that black people first because black people has dominated the hip hop space for so long? Or do you believe that Google put that there because that's what historically that's what it is?
Honestly, I believe that's what it is.
So
You
you
know, because
basically saying that historically historically black people created hip hop first. That's what you're basically saying.
I'm saying that's exactly what I'm saying. But what I'm also saying is that even though they are the creators of the genre, you understand what I'm saying? There were other olive branches that connected that allowed them to spread it out. It
Okay.
just like that's the point I've been trying to drive.
Yeah.
Like no one like I don't like honestly speaking, you know what I mean? Even though I felt like, Fat Joe's, his whole spill was kind of like all over the place a little bit. I never heard him say, and I haven't heard anybody say that he said that Puerto Ricans created hip hop. I never heard nobody say that. I didn't even say that.
Well,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
Well, the argument isn't that create the argument isn't did Puerto Ricans create hip hop. The argument is black people wasn't the only ones who created hip hop. That's the argument. You were basically saying that black people are the sole creators of hip hop, but there were people there to help them after they created it. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
it's like me creating the concept of a car, and then you come in with the wheels. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here's
Exactly.
the thing. I agree with Lord Jamal on certain things, but I don't agree with that. Now, even though Lord Jamal's on my side, I'm gonna have to disagree with certain things that you just
Yeah.
said and certain things he's saying. I
Right.
don't believe that black people were the sole creators of hip hop. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there are a lot of factors that factored in of why hip hop was created, and it wasn't just because of black people. I think that there were, because the thing is, the reason why I say that is because Lord Jamal or Fat Joe, either one, they can't point out a person who actually created hip hop. They can say, well, it was created by people in the inner city, but they don't even know who these people were.
I could agree with you on that.
I give you another example. If you watch
Mm-hmm.
all of these old movies, and a lot of people might say, well, that doesn't mean nothing, but it does. If you watch any of these old movies from the 80s and the 70s, all of those Beat Street and Break In and all of them, most of the people in the movie were Puerto Ricans. Now, I'm not saying that Puerto Ricans are solely responsible for creating hip hop. I'm not saying that. I am saying that it wasn't solely black people who did it, because if you break it down, most of the inner city, how would I say this? The inner city lingo, the inner city broken language, the inner city, anything you can think of from the inner city wasn't started by black people. That actually, and that's historical facts, that black people didn't start breaking up words. They didn't start that. That was the Irish that started that. Now, I will say that. Now, also I'm going to say that, do I believe black people were at the forefront after it was created? Absolutely. But do I believe that it was solely black people who did it? No, I don't believe that, because if you listen to the beats, let's say you listen to the instrumentation of hip hop, those beats, where did they come from? It came from Africa. Now, again, Africans are what you consider black. I mean, people would say that, yeah, but it also came from the Caribbean. And who's in the Caribbean? Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, you know what I'm saying? So the inspiration wasn't that black people might have had, let's just say this, black people might have had been at the forefront, but the inspiration came from a bunch of different places. That's what Fat Joe is saying. It's crazy how I'm arguing with Fat Joe and he was on your side.
No, but I and that point and to that regard, I agree with you, because I believe that's what he was trying to say. But people seem to have only pinpointed the one part that they disliked, which was the whole FBA situation, which I agree with him to a certain extent. We can't talk, like, listen, we can't talk unification in a culture, right? And then on the side go and say, oh yeah, you're not a part of this, and you're not a part of this, and you're not a part of that. Because technically speaking, hip hop was never about pushing people away. Hip hop was about bringing unity. Stylistically, we talking about the clothes, the fit that you wear, the culture itself, the way you speak, what you eat, everything surrounded that specific genre. So for the people to say, oh yeah, Fat Joe's a racist, he's disrespected, where are you getting the racism from when he's simply stating his opinion, and his opinion is facts? Now, I didn't agree with.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and now I'm not saying I agreed like 1,000% on every single thing that he said, but some of those viewpoints, if you decipher it out and you go through it, he's actually speaking some truth. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so look, as a foundational black American, I understand exactly what Lord Jamar is saying. I think the problem with Fat Joe is out of touch with, let's just say he's out of touch with the movement of the foundational black American, right? I think that Fat Joe is upset because the FBA is basically saying we're foundational black Americans, and this is what it is. You can't get around it. I believe Fat Joe is upset because Fat Joe is looking at it from a minority lens and saying, well, I'm more hood than you. I've been living in the hood all my life. I've been doing these things all my life. I know about the struggle. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from where it's at. That's what Fat Joe is saying. I think that the reason why there is some racial undertones in that, and a lot of people probably won't catch this, is the fact that, and it's not Fat Joe's fault. This is actually society's fault. I believe that him saying that, it kind of makes it look like black people are ghetto ghetto are in the minority when it comes to the hood, because his mentality is, well, I am the hood, but the hood isn't necessarily foundational Black Americans. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, so you basically saying you're a hood, but that has nothing to do with foundational Black Americans, because there are people who never been in the hood who were born here, and that's it. So I think that Fat Joe, he's a little upset because he kind of got the rug pulled from under him, because he is from the hood and he made it out of the hood. And back then, Black people, whether you were foundational Black or not, you didn't look at Puerto Ricans as different from you. They were actually Black, or you were actually Puerto Rican, or y'all was actually from the hood. Y'all were ghetto. Y'all were from that. So when Lord Jamal say the certain things he says, he's not wrong about what he's saying. And Fat Joe is frustrated because Fat Joe feels as though he been through the struggle. And this is the reason why he's the way he is. But where I think Fat Joe went wrong is when he said they were broke and they were stupid and they were a bunch of, because Fat Joe's looking at it like, how can you say that you are foundational Black American? How can you say something like that when you not even from the hood? I'm from the hood, and this is what the fundamentals is. So I think that Fat Joe feels, I think that's how Fat Joe feels. He's trying to equate foundational Black Americans synonymous with the hood, and I don't think that that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think Lord Jamal's trying to kind of separate that.
Yeah, and for that part, I agree. You know, where I lost touch with Lord Jamal was when he basically tried to rally all the Puerto Ricans and tell them, don't go support this man and his album and this and that and whatever.
He didn't do that. He didn't do that.
Well, he definitely said that he was for all right. So yeah, you're right. Let me fix my statement. You're definitely right. He said basically for the Puerto Ricans to support his album, but then he wanted everybody else to rally and don't support it. So let me get this straight, right? You're from a culture that is all about unity. Now you got another guy who's supposed to be your brother in arms, right? All of a sudden, you're trying to tell everybody else that probably would support him not to support him. You just want the Latinos to support him. That, to me, that's like kind of like didn't make any sense. Even though there's a lot of Latinos in this country and there's a lot of Latinos outside of this country. And yes, they do listen to Fat Joe's music, whether you people think so or not.
I believe that there's more Latinos in this country than Blacks. So put that out there. I believe it. I believe that's what it is. I believe they're the second largest demographic. And it's not even just that. It's just Hispanic or Latino. Latino could be all South America. You know what I'm saying? Like, but to your point, I guess to what you're saying. Now, I think that what Lord Jamal is saying is, it's kind of like, and I gotta kind of defend him on this one. He's not necessarily telling people to boycott Fat Joe. He's basically saying that Fat Joe, if you're basically saying that you don't like foundational Black Americans, then us as foundational Black Americans who made you should not support you and see how that works. That's basically what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, don't come to us for help. You know what I'm saying? If you don't mess with us. But see, I have a huge problem with that, because number one, this FBA thing is just getting started. Maybe not too long. I'm gonna say I don't know when it started. I'm just gonna put that out there, right? But it's became popular over the past 3-4 years. People can say whatever they want to say. They can say, oh, it's always been around. Because, yeah, obviously it's always been around because we're black and we're foundational black Americans. Yeah. But the talking point of it has just recently surfaced. Again, I think that he's wrong for trying to weaponize that against Fat Joe when he knows that Fat Joe he's been with the cause for a long time. So you can't sit here and tell me that you believe that Fat Joe should be boycotted when he has been more of the culture than you. You get what I'm saying? So it's unfair for him to say to go boycott. Now, I understand why he's saying that, because he's basically saying like, well, if you're saying F us, then don't ask us for anything. But Fat Joe is saying, well, I'm more foundational than you are because I'm from the dirt. You know what I'm saying? So to me, their argument is kind of weird because they're both arguing for the same thing. But the thing is, Lord Jamal is basically saying like, well, we started all this. And Fat Joe is basically saying, well, no, we all did it. My thing is, why do people have to feel as though that we have to and I don't want to say it like this because it's going to come off wrong, but I'm going to have to say it anyway. Why do people always feel like us as black people always have to say we created everything? I don't think it's fair to other cultures for you to say that. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that you would say that. And the reason why I'm giving Lord Jamal some pushback on this one is because even if you say, okay, let's even go with the argument that with Lord Jamal saying that we created hip hop, right? Us as black people. You know me, I love black, I'm black. Let's go with that argument. But where did the inspirations come from? Because we didn't create the clothes. We might have wore the clothes a certain way, but we did not create the clothing. Where did that come from? Where did these beat machines come from? Or where did those turntables come from? We didn't create the turntables. Somebody had to make them. Who made them? Who was these companies? Technica, where did that come from? Oh, was that from Japan or China? How did they know what to do with it? Maybe we didn't know maybe they didn't know that you could do it with that. Maybe they didn't create it for that. But you can't say that we was the sole creators, because there are things that people had to come together to make together. And that's where Fat Joe is right on. A lot of people might not like me saying that, but it's the truth. That's where I believe Fat Joe is right on. But where I believe Lord Jamal is right on is, if you are a foundational black American, you can't tell me how to be a foundational black American. You know what I'm saying? And if I feel this way, then come debate me. But for some reason, Fat Joe and whoever else, KRS-One, they don't want to debate him. I don't know why. They don't. They don't want to debate him. They should. I think it would be a great debate.
Yeah, and for what you said, I definitely agree with you. And I further on by saying this. So, all right, so if that's the case, right, now there's a lot of people that are talking about this movie or documentary called Microphone Check. I don't know if you heard about that. Did you hear about this joint called Microphone Check?
Actually, no.
Okay, so I watched a few clips. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a few clips. I watched enough to understand what they're talking about. Honestly speaking, I don't really have to watch it all because, like, I understood from the get-go what was going on. Now, in Microphone Check have the historians of the hip hop culture in this documentary, and they're the ones that are basically saying what happened at the timelines that it happened and who was involved and who wasn't. That's what the movie is based upon, right? Now,
Mhm.
mind you, like I said, I didn't watch the whole entire thing, but I watched enough to decipher what I need to decipher. What I'm saying is, if that documentary is valid, right? Why don't those same people come to the forefront and talk to Fat Joe? Why don't those same people come to the forefront and talk to Lord Jamal? Because if that's the validation that we're going to be going on, right, then there's a lot of people within this whole circle that got things mixed up. Let me just put it like that. There's a lot of people that got a lot of things mixed up. You know what I mean? And if and to further that, if, like you said, if there is other pieces to this as far as the creation of hip hop, why aren't more people coming to the forefront besides us and stating that?
Well, what did they
That's what I
say,
want.
what did they say in the documentary that what did you take from the documentary that makes people believe, or you don't really want to tell people, you want them to watch for themselves?
Well, I really want people to watch for themselves because, like, my opinion is, like I said, I took from what I took from it, but it, to me personally, it didn't, like, it said who was involved, but I feel like there was more pieces than just what they're stating in that video. I feel like there was more stuff in there.
So,
It's like
go ahead, go ahead.
go ahead. It's like watching if you ever watch Hidden Colors, it's like watching Hidden Colors. There needs to be a part 2, there needs to be a part 3, there needs to be a part 4, part 5, part 6, whatever. Because I feel like there's more to it than what people are stating. That's how I feel.
Okay, so all right, let me ask you this, right? So you watch a documentary. Now, here's the thing I would say about documentaries, and this is why I say, like, you gotta be real careful with the information you consume, because the word documentary, people automatically think it's real. They automatically think it's the truth. It doesn't matter if you throw the word documentary on the front of it or based on true stories. People automatically say, "Well, it was a documentary about it." Doesn't mean that they can't lie. Documentaries lie all the time. Trust and believe, they lie. But when you hear that word documentary, then people start to believe that. Here's the thing about it, right? And this is why I believe. I believe that, and I don't even know, I didn't see this documentary. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it. So I can't tell you what's in it. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Don't know. But there's always 3 sides to a story. Your side, my side, and the truth. So obviously, if I'm going to side with Lord Jamal, I'm going to give you all of my points, and I'm going to deliberately leave out your points because I want people to believe what I'm saying. If I'm on the side of Fat Joe, I'm going to give a documentary that's going to leave out all of Lord Jamal points because I want people to think I'm right. But then there's the truth. Then there's someone who doesn't like either one of them, or doesn't, or not like, but is not biased, and they don't side with either one of them, and they provide the actual truth. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times we come across these documentaries who would tell you one thing, and then you go do your own research and say, wait a minute, that's not what that documentary said. Oh, they never even mentioned this. What about this? It's obvious that they overlooked it because they want to side with one party. For example, if you've seen a FBA documentary about this situation, whose side are you think they're going to side with? You know what I'm saying? Now, if you've seen a Caribbean documentary about hip hop, whose side do you think they're going to side with? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just what it is. So I understand the whole thing when it comes to documentaries, but for me, I'll just go and do my own research. But I think this argument is so stupid. It's so dumb because it's like you're trying to, and I get Fat Joe's frustration. I also get Lord Jamal's frustration. But it's a dumb argument because we're trying to argue over something that we both participated in and took it to another level. That's just that. Whether you saying, oh, he could say, like, I could put you like this, right? And let's just say, for argument's sake, Lord Jamal is right, right? let's just say black people was first and they took the first step, right? Right behind them was 10 Puerto Ricans taking the next step. So you're telling me that these people just as they're not as important? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
if you created something and then I came along and helped you in most of it, in 90% of it, from the culture down to everything, even if you said I copied your culture, I still helped you with it because I influenced my people, my family to do the same thing. And on top of that, you came around and I taught you my language. Are you telling me that because you took the first step that everybody else is disqualified from saying that they were a part of making something? You're crazy. That's crazy.
Right.
I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where Lord Jamal goes wrong. But as being a foundational Black American, my argument with Fat Joe is you cannot disrespect foundational Black Americans. You can't say that and don't think that you're going to not get some pushback, because you basically, when people say foundational Black American, even though that's like a term, Black Lives Matter, you know what I'm saying? The organization or whatever you want to call it, that's like that term. Fat Joe is not looking at it from that angle, but most people are looking at it like, well, you're talking about Black people who were born in America. That's how people are looking at it. And he's not looking at it like that, because he's looking at it like, well, as a Puerto Rican, I'm not looking at color because I grew up around Black people all my life. What do you mean foundational Black America? When did this come along? Like, no, you niggas are stupid. I've been around with Black people all my life. How can you call me racist? Are you crazy? I've been around more Black people than you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel like Fat Joe feels. But I think it's disrespectful for him to basically, because he's caught in a catch-22, because that's like me saying, I don't like Black Lives Matter, right? But then people say, what you mean you don't like Black Lives Matter? You gotta like Black Lives Matter. Black lives do matter. And I say, well, I don't like the organization. What you mean? They don't look at it as if I don't like Black Lives Matter. They look at it as I don't like Black people. And I think that that's the same thing with Fat Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely can agree with you on that one. I feel like Fat Joe kind of like caught himself between a rock and a hard place, because he mentioned, there's a lot of things he mentioned in there that I probably wouldn't have said, or I would have worded it differently, you know. And you know how it is. Once you mention the word Black, all of a sudden that's a gaslight, and all the heathens start coming out. And everybody starts getting mad and saying, oh, this and all that, and he's racist and that. I was like, hold on here. I don't think that this man would be that crazy to go against the culture that basically catered to his career. They made him what he is. I don't think he's that.
Let me stop you there. Who is this culture you speak of?
Hip hop, rap.
Okay, so you basically saying that hip hop is Black culture, because you saying that you wouldn't think that Fat Joe would go against the culture that made him. Did the Black culture really make Fat Joe?
I would say that they supported what he does as far as his music.
Puerto Ricans.
No, Puerto Ricans did too.
So so you have to acknowledge that Puerto Ricans are part of the culture. You have to say the culture is Puerto Ricans, Blacks, Caribbeans, anybody that's a part of hip hop. Because if you're saying that how can you go against people who helped you, but then you exclude everybody else that helped him? Then I don't think that's right for you to say. That's my opinion. I don't think you should say.
No, I would never say that he should exclude everybody else along the way, because that's definitely
kind of just did, because you said that hip hop. You said that how can he go against the culture that helped him to where he's at, or something to that effect? And I'm saying to you, well, what's the culture? And you said hip hop. And I'm saying, okay, so what's hip hop? Because if you
Well,
say that
hip
he's
hop,
going against the culture, then you're saying he's going against black people by saying what he said about the FBA. That kind of leads to Lord Jamal and his argument saying that you basically saying Lord Jamal is right. But if you sit there and say, well, hip hop is everybody, how can he's not going against hip hop, he's going against the foundational Black American movement, not hip hop. Because the
and that's
foundational Black American movement is not hip hop. Foundational
no,
Black American movement is foundational Black Americans. That's it. Because guess what?
and that's
Hold
oh,
up.
my bad.
Guess
Go
what?
ahead.
Foundational Black American in West Bumble somewhere, who never even liked hip hop, was born here. That's a foundational Black American, right?
Of course, if they were
Okay,
born in this country, yeah.
so that's what I'm saying to you. So that's what I guess my question to you is. So you gotta clarify what you mean, because you're saying that they help. That how can he be that stupid to go against? Are you saying he's going against foundational Black Americans, the movement, not the people, the movement, or are you saying he's going against hip hop?
Honestly speaking, to like even correct what I'm saying, because this is documented. I said this in the comment section on my channel. I feel he's going against more like Lord Jamar than he's going against anybody, because his beef is basically with Lord Jamar. Now, like I told this one commenter on my channel, right? If you take out foundational Black American, what do you got? You got Joe versus Jamar. That's what you got. So I feel like once the foundational Black American was added into the whole equation, that's what's gaslighted and sparked everything up. That's where no, I completely agree. That is Joe's fault. So that's the narrative that's been driven ever since he said that he's ungrateful, that he's this and he's that. When clearly I just feel like a lot of what he said was just taken out of context. If he just takes out the foundation Black American, which, let me clarify something right here, because somebody said something that was real idiotic to me, right? I'm a foundational Black American. You understand? Now, I was born in this country. My family wasn't, but I was born in this country. And I grew up on hip hop. So to call me, and I can't believe I'm even saying this in this debate, to call me an immigrant, I feel like that's wild to me, because, bro, and if you see this video, bro, I'm probably more Black than you. And I'm not going to tell you where the rest of my nationality resides from, but I'm probably more Black than you. You know what I'm saying? Just because you have a difference of opinions does not mean that that all of a sudden you're this racist guy and whatever like that. You can have a difference of opinions and still come to the conclusion that you're both are saying the same thing. You're just saying it in different ways. That's what I'm trying to drive with this whole thing. But apparently, people with their ears and waxing their ears and whatnot don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? But whatever.
As far as Fat Joe goes, he was the one who mentioned that the FBA, and he called them stupid. If he would have said, "I have a huge issue with the FBA," as if I am not a minority in this country, and now if you want to say the FBA has nothing to do with minorities, but my thing is, the inner city is the inner city. You were born in America in the inner city, we were all together. I think a lot of times where we get it confused is using the term foundational Black American. Even though I support it, I have to be honest with you, it is very divisive, because you're basically saying that I am from America. But here's the craziest part about it, right? Most people that say they're foundational Black Americans hate America. Now, how does that sound? You know what I'm saying? How does that sound?
Yeah.
So you're only using this term as a talking point. You're not using it because you really believe in the country you from, because every chance y'all get, y'all talk about how bad it is here. Which is crazy to me, how people could say that the country is bad. In other countries, you can't even say that the country is bad.
Yeah, there's laws against that. Yeah. I got a question for you, though. So, do you feel that the foundational Black American is a cult? Is it almost like a terroristic type of group? Because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of content creators out there that feels like it's such. So, do you feel like that's what it is?
Absolutely don't think it's a T organism. I'm gonna try not to say you know what I'm saying. Absolutely
Yeah.
don't think it's that. Absolutely. I do believe that it's a movement, and I think that movements do have their pushbacks and people do say certain things, but I definitely don't think that that's what that is, because they're basically saying once Black people realize that they're a foundational Black American and you all a part of some cult. I don't believe that. I believe that me and you know we're foundational Black Americans and we're not the part of the cult. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe, and a lot of people will make something out to be this. First of all, let's be clear here. This is not the Black Panther Party, and I'm not saying Black Panther Party was or cults. I'm not saying that. Let's just put that out there. I think that this movement is a way to separate people from the FBA, basically saying I was born here, you can't take that from me. And the only reason why I think that this is the case, I don't think this has nothing to do with Joe. This is my opinion. I'm not saying I read this somewhere. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just telling you from what I see. The only reason why I think this is because of foreigners. And I think that this is more prevalent because of the immigration and people coming in this country and people feeling as though that they're getting more than what we're getting. And that's why I say this is why this movement, to me, it's good and it's bad. Because for some cases, I can argue that yes, we should get more if we were born here. Not someone who came here across the grand. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get into that. I'm just going to say. So I understand that point, but I think that Lord Jamar knows what he's doing by saying that word, because Fat Joe can't get around that word because he's not Black. He can't get around it. Nobody can get around it if they're not Black. You know what I'm saying?
So you would agree and say that what Fat Joe said beforehand is correct when he said that if you ain't Guyanese, no, he didn't say like that. He said if you Guyanese, if he said a few other nationalities and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you would agree and say that, yeah, if you not American, Black American, then this ain't for you. You would agree and say that.
Yes, I would say that what Fat Joe is saying there is actually true if we're talking in the terms of what a foundational Black American is. Yeah, if he's saying that. But at the same time, it's such a weird argument, because basically what Lord Jamal is basically saying is that so what happens if you're mixed? Yeah. What happens if you're let's say, what happens if your mom is Guyanese or if your mother's Dominican and your father is Black and you were born here? You know what I'm saying? Does that make you a foundational Black American if you are mixed with Dominican? That's the question I have for Lord Jamal. You know what I'm saying? But I understand exactly what you're saying, what Fat Joe's saying, and that's where the frustration comes in at, because he's basically saying like, How can you use these terms when these people been here, and just because they came from somewhere else, you can't say that, but it still stands because it says foundational Black American, which means our foundation was built here. If you were, let's say you were born in New Jersey or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And your whole family that's a foundational Black American. But to answer your question, I definitely think that Joe, what he said was actually true. That Lord Jamal is basically eliminating all of those people that falls in that category. You got any other questions, or is this it?
Well, I got one more question. Are you familiar with don't get at me if I pronounce the name wrong, but I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Tariq Nasheed, if I'm pronouncing that correct. You familiar?
I'm familiar with him, yeah.
Yeah, so what people are saying is that he's the head of foundational Black American, that he created that term. Well, and he stole, and basically one more thing, and that basically he created that term, but he also stole the idea from somebody else. Now I can't remember the young lady or the young lady's name that he got the term from, but basically that's what's being said.
I absolutely know who he is. He's actually a really intelligent brother, and he does say a lot of things that I might disagree with. He also says a lot of things that I agree with. He's kind of like Umar to me. Dr. Umar says a lot of things I disagree with. He says a lot of things I agree with. I don't totally agree with everybody. I always come into it where I'm always open to interpretation of agreeing to disagree with someone and still be cool with them. We don't always have to agree on everything. Of course. You're not a yes man. You know what I'm saying? He actually has and if y'all can all go look this up. And I'm gonna say, it's one other thing that I want to say that I think is very important about foundational Black Americans before we get out of here. He has a spaces where he argued with Myron, and he smoked Myron. You know what I mean? Myron from Fresh and Fit, right? Smoked him. Just look it up. When you get a chance, look it up. It's like a half an hour long. He smoked Myron. And Myron was kept trying to dance around it or whatever. Here's the thing that I think, now I don't know if he created the foundation, but he is repping it. So whether he created it or not, it's kind of weird that we're arguing about the irony of us talking about, did he create the Foundation of Black America movement when we're arguing about who created hip hop, was it Puerto Rican or not? That's weird, right?
And that's kind of my point, not to cut you off, but that's kind of my point, that it went from a discussion, not us per se, but from what was going on with Lord Jamar and Fat Joe, it went from that to the FBA thing. And that's kind of why I drive and I'll drive it again and say that Joe should have never said that. He should have kept that to himself. But yeah, go ahead.
I understand, but again, I kind of disagree with that. I think that Joe should have displayed his frustration for it, because the way it's being used is being weaponized against people. But again, I do stand on the side of foundational Black American when it comes to that. Now, here's the thing that this is where foundational Black American really, I would say, I ain't gonna say shine, but I think that this was really what it was created for. When I goes back to I'm born here and these immigrants come in. The problem I have with most people who are not from this country that are Black, let's be clear here, that come to this country, that wasn't born here, they have a lot to say about us, and you wasn't born here. And that's where the foundational Black American movement shines and is strong at, because you should not be telling me, if you're from Sudan, or if you're from Dominican Republic, or if you're from the Congo, anywhere, you shouldn't be telling me about Black people here need to get their stuff right and stop being lazy and get up and do something and y'all all lazy. Because guess what? You would never catch me going to the Congo and saying, man, everybody in the Congo is lazy. Why y'all not doing nothing? This is crazy. I can't believe that y'all just sitting around eating bananas off of trees. Like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? You'll never see me go to the Dominican Republic and talk down on them. You'll never see me go over here to Sudan and talk down on them. But a lot of these people from other countries, let's be clear, that are black or whatever we want to call them. I know they call them a certain name, but I don't want to disrespect nobody. But there's a certain name that they call them. They come here, and what they do is they talk down on us. But you'll never see us go to their country and talk down on them. That's my problem that I have. And that's why I agree with the foundational Black American thing. But it doesn't really apply to Joe because Joe is from here and Joe is from the soil. So I can't really apply that to Joe. I'm just saying. Now, again, even with Puerto Rico, you go to Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico basically is a part of America. We all know that. But I understand exactly why Joe is frustrated because he feels like, but at the same time that it does stand. So, but that's my case.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that. When somebody says something like that and voices their frustrations, it comes out kind of like vulgar, and it doesn't come out the way you pertained it to come out, but it comes out. And to that point, I agree. I guess it's just me per se. Like I'm the type of person, like, because I know me and you both know what a gaslight is, and I know what triggers people. Now, sometimes I use it to my advantage, sometimes I don't, but I know what triggers are, and I know for a fact if I go say F yada 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 yada, then everybody's going to be up in arms. You know what I'm saying? So my last question is, do you feel that he did that purposely to do that, and purposely do that to trigger Lord Jamar and whoever else, or was it just like, a sporadic thing because of how Mav Hoffa wanted him to
Um,
you know
I think that there always are some type of intentions for some people to do certain things. I definitely think that it wasn't the intention to get backlash because he wanted the attention where he needs to get more clicks on a video or something. I don't think that was the case. I think it was
right.
more out of frustration, and he was upset that this is even a question when Puerto Ricans been around since the inception. That's what he's saying. So I believe Fat Joe is feeling like you're trying to use your color against me. You're trying to weaponize your skin color against me when we were together. You know what I'm saying? Like Puerto Ricans and blacks was inseparable. Can't say nothing about us because when they looked at people in the hood, if you were Puerto Rican or black, you were the same. That's exactly how Joe was feeling. There's no way in the world you could get around that and say, like, especially the Bronx. The Bronx. Listen, I don't want to say this. I want to speak on Joe, and then we could get out of here. And that was a good question, actually. You can't really say too much about Fat Joe. Fat Joe is one of the reasons why Latin hip hop is considered, or let's just say Latin culture in America. Fat Joe I would say he is definitely a part of that, 100%. I'm not saying he's the sole reason why Latin culture is what it is, but I'm saying the Bronx is synonymous with Fat Joe. There's no way you can get around that. When you think of the Bronx, you think of Fat Joe. To this day, Fat Joe is the reason why a lot of Latinos was okay with coming out as a rapper. He put on a lot of people that was Latino. You know what I'm saying? He is the leader of Latinos when it comes to hip hop. His name is number one by far. Is no one can even come close to him, in my opinion. All the things he has done and the things he contribute to hip hop as a whole, and has nothing to do with black, white, Spanish, nothing. His name, he is certified a legend, 100%. There's no way around that. And I would even argue that he's much more of a legend than Lord Jamar. Even though Lord Jamar is getting his flowers now because he's saying a lot of things that push a lot of people's buttons. He's saying a lot of truthful things. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with the earth thing, but he's saying a lot of things that I think that people need to pay attention to. And I think he comes off as the cool, calm, collected guy, while Fat Joe comes off as the frustrated guy, because Fat Joe's frustrated because you're using the skin guy. And that's why he said racist. You get what I'm saying? So
right,
it is what it is.
Right. Yeah.
But hey, man, we out of here. Thank y'all for joining us, man. Appreciate y'all. Great debate, man. It was great conversation, great debate. Yeah, man. See y'all, man. 6 o'clock show coming up. You know what it is. Peace. See y'all.